What's going on, everyone? I hope everyone is having a fantastic evening so far. I'm here with Derron Thomas, Miami Hurricanes running back 2004 to 2008. Derron, thank you so much for taking time out of your evening to come on the scoop.
Oh, man, thank you for having me. No problem. I enjoy it.
Absolutely, man. It's always a pleasure to have former players come on the show and just talk some Miami Hurricanes football. And Duran, you're currently coaching at East St. John High School in Louisiana, your home state. What brought you back to coaching high school football?
First, I always had a love for the game. My passion for the game was bigger than just playing, game. Been playing football since I was 4 years old, so it was embedded in me. I have an older brother, my dad, I was raised in football. All of my family, everybody came up through football. So with me, it was always something that I had a passion to do. And when I graduated from college, I just went into a different workforce. Started working at Foot Locker. I was a store manager. I did that for about 7 years. And I just decided I wanted to kind of get back into the football where I started missing the game. So I wanted to decided to get back in. And then we have a new head coach. Well, we've been together now going on year four. When he came in, um, I decided to kind of go back in with him and try to help resurrect. It's my alma mater, trying to help resurrect our alma mater program. So I just love being back with those kids, and I had a lot to offer to them, and it just felt like a calling for me to do it.
Duran, I feel you, man. I worked part time in retail throughout college. That is a tough job, man. That is a lot of
Mm-hmm.
hours. So, hey, man,
Mm-hmm.
I feel you. When you mentioned store manager, it just brought me back a little bit.
Right, exactly.
What's kind of your style, as a, football coach? What do you feel is important for high school running backs to learn, at that level of the game?
For high school running backs, I like to teach. The first thing is I want to teach you to be disciplined. Just being able to understand the game of running back. Now, I'm gonna teach you the game of running back, but first thing you have to do is be willing to accept and learn. Because you're so little developed yet coming to high school versus coming into college. So I start with the basics a lot. So I kind of like to break them down as far as from a teaching understanding and just let them know all the different aspects that come along with the game. So, just small things. We'll start off with ball security. So just teaching them how to hold a football, coming from little league and middle school, depending on what programs you're on, you may not be getting some of the better coaching going on, the ins and out details of the game, especially as a running back. So, I like to try to start off with things small as that. Then I introduce pass protection early. I
Ooh.
introduced that early because I understand the importance of pass protection with a running back. Like if you're a guy if you can't pass protect, even in the high school level, it's tough on your offense. And the way I like to teach, the caliber, the standard that I want to hold my guys to, you have to be able to do everything. And that's not about age. You can be 12 years old, and somebody taught you how to block, you'll learn how to block. You can be 7 years old. So that's what I do with the running back position. Things that I may have learned at the college level and some of the mental things that made me get groomed into the man that I am today, I like to implement those things in high school so those kids already have an advantage over myself when they get to college. So I'll be teaching them things that they're next level things, but it's not that anybody can do it. You just have to be taught it. So Coach Don Solinger, my first running back coach, he did such a great job with teaching us the attentions of detail of a running back that he pretty much embedded into our brain. So it's like now that's where I like to start out with my running back because there's so much that goes into playing a position that you just wouldn't understand it unless you did it or you were getting coached through it at a high level, certain things. So I like to just break it down, open their mind up to new things they probably never heard of, things they didn't know, things they wouldn't mind knowing, things they may see on YouTube. I'll teach them how you can potentially do those type of things and give them the blueprint of it. We'll start from scratch. We'll start from as if you don't know anything. So I can teach you what you need to know it so you can have it at a high level. And that doesn't have anything to do with talent. Because in high school, you have different talent levels in high school. You'll have some kids who they're gonna go to college, some kids who may not go to college, some kids who may not be physically able to go, just different variables that can dictate that. But at the high school level, that still don't mean that you don't have to know it because you can be a good high school player who didn't go to college, but you still max yourself out in high school. So that's what I like to do. I want to max a kid out when they're in high school so they can be ready to take that next step once they get to college. But that's a whole different level. So if I can max you out starting as a ninth grader, by the time you get to 12th grade, you're going to be seasoned. So you, any college coaches that get a running back for me, you'll be getting a guy who he's already understanding the basics and the blueprints of the position and how he should operate and how he should think and how he should kind of move and see different things. So, and it works. It works because I like to teach. I like to teach. I love to see kids get better by working to do something. I get enjoyment out of that. So it's easy for me to implement that to my guys. I have a great group of running backs right now. So it's easier for me to implement that when I got guys who are receptible to receiving it.
I love how you mentioned pass protection because I feel like now I'm just a fan who is passionate about the University of Miami and loves college football, the game of football. I feel like I see a fair amount of running backs who go to the next level, and when it comes to pass blocking, they're not very good at it, and it eliminates snaps to get on
You're
the field.
correct.
And
You
they're
are
going to go with
correct.
a running back, that is elite at that aspect of the game.
You are absolutely correct. So that's another thing. Pass protection not about size. So it's about just having a will and a grit to do it. So it's something that can be taught. It's something that can be taught. I'm going to teach you the techniques. I'll teach you how to explode to the line of scrimmage where you can catch the guy before he gets a running start. I'll teach you how to cut the time of impact down because you get there faster. And those are different things that'll help you be able to do it because, like you said, you don't want to be a guy that you can't play on third down because you can't pass pro. So if the team blitz, you can't even play in the game. A lot of things happen on third down. Big plays happen on third down. So being in as a third down guy is like a big role. I like to teach. I want guys to be 3 downs. I want all my guys to be able to hold their own no matter what we're doing. Now, once again, you're in high school, so we'll have different talent levels, but the talent level has nothing to do with being pass pro has nothing to do with talent. Pass pro is more grit, technique, teaching, understanding, and having a will to want to do it. That's the thing about pass protection. You can have a person can pass. You can take a whole lineman and make him just pass pro if he don't have to do nothing else, but he's not a running back. So it takes a special individual who has to run the ball like a running back, but then you have to catch the ball like a wide receiver, but then you have to pass protect like an offensive lineman, but then you have to read the defense like a quarterback. So it's a lot of things that come into the running back position, and the elite ones, they'll have them all. And then as you trickle down, like you said, the professional level, you'll have guys who, for whatever their dimension will be, they'll be a third down guy. Or then you'll have some guys who they're just a first and second down guy, and then that third down guy, he complements him, so they make a good pair. But to maximize your money, obviously you want to be a 3 down. So now if I don't never have to take you off the field, I don't have to split my salary. Basically, you pretty much get that extra role. That could be your salary if you're able to do that same job as that guy does one or the other. So I like to teach that at that high school level just to get in the understanding of that. So you can always just maximize your earnings, even in high school at the college level. Everything is about competing. I want you to be able to compete to where you can be on the field the whole time. You don't have to let your dimensions, let another guy just take your time because you can't do it. You need to learn how to do it as well. So now y'all both can be able to do it. So that's just I like to teach it and like to give them something to think about. I like to challenge them in the weight room, challenge them on the conditioning, just getting their body physically ready for what comes along with being a running back. And that's another thing that's undervalued. It's a physical position. So you have to be physically equipped for it. So it's training that's gonna have to play a major factor in your career, your whole playing career, so you can maximize yourself as a running back. Because you don't want to be a guy who's always hurt, but that's why you have to get your body right. You have to get your body ready for that impact because there's going to be a collision of pretty much every play if you're doing it right, So, but it comes with the position, and I played it my whole life. I love it, and I love coaching it. So.
That's why I appreciate these conversations with former players. I learned so much. You played at the University of Miami, not just at any position at running back, where, that holds a lot of weight to be a running back at the University of Miami. And, speaking of the position, now this is just my opinion. Obviously, Derron knows a lot more than I do regarding the game of football and in general. I feel like the offensive line is the backbone for a good offense, whether it's giving time in the pocket for your quarterback, to break down a defense, follow through with his reads, and for the running backs as well. to create space, create that open lane, you know, to, have a good run, get a lot of rushing yards throughout the game. Do you work with your offensive line coach and, creating that space and open lanes for your running backs to perform at their best?
Of course, I love to work with our offensive line coach. I love our offensive linemen the same way I treat the backs, the whole offense as a whole. We do a good job. We do a good job at everybody helps where they can because the ultimate goal is to win. So our offensive line coach, me and him, we talk all the time about spacing and angles and meeting with the quarterback coach and finding out what his quarterback would make it best for them to be beneficial in the same thing and following up with the OC and just as a unit. So yeah, we the whole time and we always trying to find we want to be successful at every play. So every running play that we call, we want to be successful at identifying who we're going to get and what's going to make it the easiest way to get them where we can be successful. So we're dealing at the high school level again. It's different than the college level. It's a lot of more teaching that's going to have to come into it. You getting kids who some of these kids may have never played football in their life till they got to you. Where in college, you're not going to get that. You're going to get a kid, you're going to have some type of experience at the college level, no matter what. But in high school, you get a kid with this maybe his first year. You might see him walking in the hallway. And you just found a nice kid, was a good student, and he didn't even know his own potential. And I like kids like that, kids who you can kind of build them up, build them and let their physical dynamics help them. And then you build them up to add that with their self so they can blossom into the prospect that they would want to be. So with our offense, yeah, we do a great job as far as we're communicating with the offensive line, with the coaching, so everybody can intertwine with the timing, with the steps, what we like about it, what we don't like about it. So for us, our offensive line, that's the most important thing. I mean, without them, there's no us. And there's no us. So I am very, very high on making sure the offensive linemen are satisfied, make sure they like what they're doing. Excuse me. Just finding out what they like, what they comfortable with. We're trying to work together to make the whole thing work because our production is based off their production. So I listen to them. I communicate with them. I like to let my backs communicate with them. I want you to understand what we're doing. So that's why we teach in the way we're teaching. So if you're blessed to go to that next level, you already had those type of understandings. You already have that embedded in you. That's half of the battle. Because you'll get a lot of kids when they get into college, all they know how to do is run. They're faster, they're more athletic, their physical dynamics are so elite that that's what got them there. They're fast, they're big, they pass all of the eyeball tests and all those different things. But a kid like that can also struggle. That kid, if he's not doing all of the other things to make him a good running back, he won't even make it through the summer. It's so much, the summer workout, it takes so much time before we get to the pads that if you're not equipped for the grind of a college athlete, you won't even make it to the camp, because the summer will get you, and that happens sometimes, so right. Just having that standard with them and letting our O-line understand how important it is for the back to see what they're thinking and for the back to see what the O-lineman is thinking. That's what'll make your offense most successful.
I feel like I know the answer to this next question I'm going to ask you, but I'm still going to ask. Who is a running back that you tell your running back group to watch film on? That you love the way he plays the game of football?
I got a few. I have a few. My person as a childhood kid, I was a Barry Sanders guy.
Okay.
Love Barry Sanders. And as the years, there are a lot of guys who I started kind of catching the liking to. So, you go with current guys. There's so many guys who've done this over the years that, this generation of kids, the people who they see is more going to be Saquon Barkley, the Elvin Kamara, the Christian McCaffreys, all of the guys who, Le'Veon Bell, all of these guys who kind of been an integral part of their process coming up. But for me, like I said, I came up Barry Sanders, Clem Portis, Willis McGahee, Frank Gore. I really looked up to those guys, Edgerrin James. I really followed those film. I really studied those guys. I loved the way they played. And it was easier for me to get that liking because one, I was already a Miami fan, and two, Coach Saul was their coach. So with Coach Saul coaching them, we was all ears. We were all ears. So I'm getting the same teaching that Willis McGahee, Porter. These are guys that I looked up to as kids playing the position. The same way our kids now look up to the generation of guys they have now. So for me to have a pretty much a VIP access into the mind of those guys, for me, that was love. That was great. And that's why I'm so thankful for the opportunities that I had for me to take in that knowledge that I needed to display to the kids that I have now.
Gotta love it, man. Modeling, young kids, influencing them to former Miami Hurricane running backs. You gotta love the University of Miami, man. We're NFLU at all positions of the game. That's the
Mm-hmm.
beauty of the brotherhood, man. You guys love each other. You got that mutual respect. You envy each other's game. That's what I love about the University of Miami. Derron, this next question, I actually asked former NFL head coach Hugh Jackson, the Cleveland Browns, this question as well. I feel like as the game of football, we are modernizing to more of a spread offense. That's just my opinion. We're seeing less guys go under center. It's, more, we're moving away from going under center. We're going more spread ultimately, to summarize it. How do you think, if you agree with that statement, or if you don't, how is that affecting, the running back position?
I agree. First off, I do agree. If you kind of look at the game, it's pretty much self-explanatory. Like everybody's more gun, 3 wide, 4 wide. We're kind of getting more away from that traditional formation with a tight end, two receivers, one back, two tight ends. We're kind of fading away from that. And if we are doing some of those things, it's still going to be out of the gun or out of the pistol. So it's more of just the evolution of the game is changing, and you just gotta, for the most part, at the highest level, is changing as well as the college level. So you just have to be able to adapt. You have to be able to adapt, but you can still have a lot of your same characteristics and traits and understandings, no matter where you lined up at. Sometimes it's different getting it from the eye or from behind the quarterback versus getting it from on side of them as far as aiming points. But you can fix that. Like I said, you can take steps. You can have steps. You can kind of get your guy on the downhill track more than more on the side to side zone track, depending on what the play call is. That's just one way to adapt to it. So, you have different ways that you kind of just adjust because the kids now who are playing the game, they're not us playing the game. We have to understand that too. Like, so they don't even know what we played is because their whole life has been like this. So this is all they know. So that's kind of more of that adapting, long as they come in with the right attitude, mentality, and will to learn and get better, they'll be able to adjust in coaching as well. And coaches, we have to be able to adjust, because the overall is to be successful at whatever's going to work best for your team. So whatever it takes to get it to that point, you just kind of have to roll with it. But I'm pretty diverse with it, so I kind of like it all. I like the gun. I like the gun. I'm always, you can always, I could dot the I as well. I dot the I, and we can motion from the fullback position and play in the run support like that. But I like the spread. I do like the fact that it spreads the field more. It gives you better. It gives you some better running lanes depending on things that you want to do based off of the defensive formation. So spreading the field out just spreads out defenders to give you better lanes at times. But it's just kind of more of a preference on that coach and how he runs his offense and what he exactly wants to do for his own playbook.
Derron, are you still watching the Miami Hurricanes at all?
Oh, every week, every game, every day.
What do you think about this
Yeah.
current running back room? In my opinion, I think there's a lot of talent in the room. It's look, I hate like saying, oh, but it's not like the past talent. Every running back room at Miami has their own identity. They already written their story, and this running back room has to write their own story. And there is talent there. I do believe that. What do you think about the running backs we have? Who kind of peeks out to you as hey, this kid's really good. I think he has a lot of potential.
Man, I like the running back group as a whole. I'm excited for what we have this year from their group. Like I said, we have a lot of guys who can play the game at high level in different ways. So like I said, the main guy for me, I love Ken Harris is that veteran guy who's been in that fire for a lot of years. So he comes with the war, the battle tested, the war wounds, the experience, the understanding that he can help display that to the younger group. And I'm excited for everything Cam has. He's going into his last year now. So with him under him, I think Don Chaney
Yep.
and Jalen Knighton, those two guys, they kind of have different games, but they
Yep.
both can play. But Don Chaney is that guy to me personally who just, like I said, just with his combination of size and speed and vision, he's a guy that he has the potential to, be with everything what you would want out of a 3-down guy, just going forward, just because he has so much more. He's going to be a freshman again. So he has so much more time to kind of keep improving himself. But the group as a whole, with Cam, that veteran leadership and that production that he has, and he hopefully he can have him a good year. I'm excited with him and with Don Chaney and Jalen Knight, and then those incoming freshman guys. I got to see a little more from them still. We got Cody Brown and Thad Frank and the bigger guys, and I just want to see how they'll look with our offense. They're just have to see what it'll look like. We haven't really had a 230-pound, 225-pound bruising type guy in a while. So I'm excited to see it though. I'm excited to see when we get into camp and start seeing some clips about how those guys transfer over to this next level. And also with this year kind of opening back up the COVID situation, those guys will be in a better position to be able to come in and show their name and imprint their name into the program. But I'm really excited about the group. We got so much versatility. Like I said, you got 3 different guys you can put in there, and those guys bring different values to the game and to the offense, and they all can produce. So that's just good for me. That's good as a whole.
I'm curious to pick your brain on this next question regarding the running backs room and the relationship with the offensive line. 2019, this is just my opinion. I think a lot of people agree. Offensive line unit was not our best unit. I think it improved a lot in 2020. But I also felt like our running backs, there were some games, Clemson, we only had like 8 total yards, a whole football game just with those running backs. Derek King was our leading rusher, of course. There were some games where it took us a while to get going. Why do you think that was? I know a lot of the fans saying, hey, the offensive line wasn't creating a lot of holes. What did you see? Because I feel like as a former running back in college, you view the game differently, and maybe you're keying in on the running back position unit throughout the game and the offensive line.
I mean, first thing, I think that it was a combination of both. It was just those guys. Excuse me.
Bless you.
Thank you. Those guys from Clemson. I mean, first off, they whipped us up front. They whipped us up front. But over the last few years, going from 19 to last year to going currently, I see a ton of improvement. But first thing I think, some up front, we had to get a little more beefier at certain positions and just better understanding and everything. So that could have been one issue. Another issue, I go both ways with it. It could have been times that maybe was something there and the back may have missed it. He just may have missed it. That's offense and as the backs and O-line, they go together. So this play, the back cut it right, but the O-line may have made a mistake and that caused the loss. But then on the next play, the O-line may have made a good block, but the back missed the read and that caused the loss. So it kind of works together. So I don't never really go into a blame game as far as when there's no production from the running back position. As I like to talk to the whole unit, because I know once we break that film down, there's going to be mess ups across the board from different people. So it's going to be easy to identify the mistakes on film and be able to correct the issues from both sides of it. So that happens a lot in that Clemson game. I think that happened more often than we wanted it to happen, especially with the running back production. Like I said, even though Derek King was able to get some yards on his feet, but I think this year with our running backs, just being another year into it, getting stronger, getting better, getting faster, and our offensive line improving a lot. I'm excited about Jalen Rivers. I think that guy, I've been following him since high school. That's a big, massive kid who he ready. He may be ready. He's the guy who he'll be able to come in and compete for a starting job and help take that O-line position to the next level. We're doing a really good job of recruiting. We're starting to get some meaty, beefier guys up front, some agile guys who kind of able to do both for the spread, being able to adapt to having spread offensive linemen. You want all of that factors in as well when you're talking about offenses and the personnel, having the right guys for the personnel that you want to run to make sure that you can maximize the production from those guys, and just putting them in that best position. So I think with some of the new offensive linemen that we have, now we'll have Donaldson and Skates back. having those two guys to get back in and, still contending with Jared Williams and Zion on the other side and Gainer up the middle. I think that we'll be ready to start pushing to where I'm ready for the day that we can have 2,000 yard backs, 3,000 yard backs. I'm ready for them days. So I think our backs have the talent to be able to do it. So I'm excited to just see how that offensive line and how the coach, how they're adjusting or how to correct some of the issues that they had to help get this group to the next level.
We got D'Eriq King coming back. Our offensive line unit, everyone's returning. Nobody transferred. Nobody went pro. Everyone's coming back. Running back room. We got a good wide receiver core building. Secondary should be very interesting with a new defensive backs coach. Hopefully, we'll be a lot better. Tavares Robinson will get the ball rolling. Derron, what's your outlook for these 2021 Miami Hurricanes? I think they're going to be a lot better football team.
I think we're going to be a lot better team too. I don't like to be biased, but I think with the team we got, I'm going to be confident with every game we go into. I'm confident that we can win. So for obviously that Alabama game is going to be the test. We all know that's going to be the test. So that's going to be a lot. But like I always say, I want to look at it from both rounds. We can easily say, yeah, they're the national champs, they're Alabama, this and that. But on the flip side, you can say they are the national champs who lost a lot. They got to replace a lot. So a lot of those guys are going to be first-time starters. Now, we understand that they've been recruiting at a high level for all these past years and this and that. Yeah, that's understandable. So, but we have guys too. We got some guys too. We got some high-end guys who are going to be in there competing, and it'll be their first time as well as those guys from Alabama's first time, and that matters. Being a first-time starter, that matters. Now you're going to start seeing what that kid who didn't play last year, how did he develop to get in the way? You'll start seeing sometimes it works for the better, sometimes the production drops and it'll go for the worse. So I'm excited to see that. But with our offense, with D'Eriq coming back, and I'm reading good reports and he's looking good, and hopefully everything is all from his rehabilitation, all of that is getting squared under the way. With him in there, and now Don Chaney will be back, so now we'll have a full arsenal of backs. I'm confident what we got. I'm confident with adding Charleston Ramboy. That's a big addition that I'm confident about.
Yep.
I'm confident about the development of Keyshawn Washington. Like if those guys can take that step, if those guys can take that next jump, man, we gonna be able to compete with some. We'll be able to compete with some guys. I like the secondary. DVD, that's my boy. So with him and T-Rock in that secondary, I love our secondary. So all those athletes, Bama will be running out there on the edges. We got guys out there going to be covered. So people don't understand that. People obviously are gonna, it's Alabama. So I understand the cause for some of the concern, but when you look at it from both ends of the spectrum, it gives me a lot of confidence on our end. So we can get through that game. I feel confident as winning everybody who we play against. So I got to count my chips first. So I don't want to just start running when we're going undefeated this year. But I hope we go undefeated. And if we play the caliber I know we can play, I feel like we can win every game. And we win every game, that'll put you in contention to be in the playoffs. That would have you in a contention in the ACC championship. That would have you in a contention if you win the ACC championship. That'll put you into the playoffs. So that's the ceiling. That's the ceiling, obviously. And it's all going to be about the consistency. Over the years, we'll have some lapses in some games, and we'll drop games that we shouldn't drop.
Right.
So we don't need that to happen. So but I'm not gonna go into a game thinking we're gonna not show up that game. I don't, so I want to be wrong about that if that happens. So but I think that with what the staff we have going and what those guys building, what we're recruiting, a caliber of kids that we've been coming in, and I like the reports. I like to see more the grind. I want to see the grind. Everything is not about pretty, the sun, being on the beach with the palm trees in the wind. I want to see sweat on green tree, because that's where the championships are won at. They're not won on an official visit. They're not won at an autograph signing. They're not won on the beach. They're won in green tree. They're won in the classroom. They're won in the EJ room. They're won in the running back room. They're won in the weight room. So that's what I wanted. I think that the guys who leading now, having a few additional changes here and there, I think that'll help with that. So I'm excited for the year. I'm excited for what we got coming up.
52 days away till we take on the Alabama Crimson Tide in Atlanta, Georgia. The way I see it, Duran, we averaged 34 points per game, I believe, this past season, or 38. One or the other. If we get to 41, you put up 41 points per game, that's on your defense. Your offense did the job. I don't care if you play in the
Mm-hmm.
Big 12. I don't care what conference, right? I
Right,
mean,
right.
the defense is going to have better hold their own weight. And, Manny Diaz taking over the reins as defensive coordinator. Like you mentioned, DeMarcus Van Dyke, Travaris Robinson, Jess Simpson's coming in. We'll see, man. Hopefully, we can get to 11, 12 wins and make some noise and hit the college football playoffs. That's the goal, man. So,
That's
I'm
the goal.
extremely excited about this upcoming season. You always have to build in recruiting as well. And
Mm-hmm.
speaking of recruiting, we got a couple recruits out of the state of Louisiana, which, here and there. I mean, you're from the state of Louisiana. You went to Miami. You mentioned Vegas Franklin. Previously, Ed Reed's from Louisiana. Laron Bird, I'll throw in a random name there of a player
Mm-hmm.
too from that
Yeah, that's
state.
my boy there. That's my boy.
But
Mm-hmm.
are you kind of engaged and familiar with Kamari Rogers and Landon Ibieta?
Oh, yeah, I am. Both of those guys, they played with the Louisiana Bootleggers for that 7-on-7
Yep.
travel circuit. So that team is one of the generally known as one of the top, if not the top, 7-on-7 team in the state. So those are some guys who, there's some ballers on that team. So if you're a guy who can go on that team at that stage and produce the way those guys have produced, you can play. You can play that. That team. Anybody can make that team. Anybody's not on the Bootleggers. Anybody don't travel and win those tournaments. Those tournaments it get real out there. Those 7-on-7 battles. Those guys out there really compete. Those are the better guys in the country who playing all over it. And those are just some different things with this generation, with the kids who coming up now. This 7-on-7 deal, it's like a big deal in your evaluation process. That's one of those adjusting to this generation to go along with the evolution of the spread. More throwing going around. So obviously there'll be more throwing practices around. There'll be more 7-on-7 games. There'll be more emphasis on one-on-one and routes and all of those good things. And a guy like Kamari, he did it at that level. I've seen him a few times, seen him on film. He can play. I'm really excited about him. He's probably with the top player in Mississippi, if not top two players in the state of Mississippi. So they play ball there. That's a guy who LSU, they wanted him. They wanted him. Mississippi State and Ole Miss, some of those SEC programs, they wanted him. So for him to get away, and that's a shout out to DVD and T-Rob. Those guys were able to go in and come in and recruit him and win him over and win his family over, and I'm glad they did. And I'm excited for what he has. I think he's going to be a guy who he's a starting caliber, high end caliber player who you can win a lot of games with if he maxes out the potential that he's showing already. So if he just keeps building off of the success he's had at this high school level, he'll be a guy at that cornerback position who can help change our program. And Landon as well. That guy there, he's the guy who I like about him. He worked to get where he's gotten at. It's not like he's the 6'3",
Yeah.
230-pound guy running a 4.2 40 and his that's not him. That's a guy who he got what he got from competing every day, from working every day, and getting on the showcase circuits and performing at a level to where he's winning over some of the top guys in the country. And if you can do that, and you a guy who's willing to put in that work, you'll fit in good at Miami. I know how those boys think. I know how they roll in there already. I already know how Coach Vic and those guys in the weight room, just people like that, they're gonna push you. They're gonna push the max out of you. So if you have that built in you already, you'll come in with a half of understanding, and that's what's major with Miami. And that's why I teach that with my high school guys, because I understand how important that is. I understand that if you're not ready to come in mentally and start working, it can be tough on you. So the guys who come in already with that attitude and that mentality and that grind and that grit, those guys tend to be genuinely successful. And then when you have the talent to match it and the skill sets to match it, with the recruiting going along with it and pairing the right guys at the position, like I said, getting Jake Garcia and having Tyler Van Dyke and those younger guys to kind of be waiting in the wings behind De'Eric, man, we can really make some noise going forward. I'm just excited. I just want to see somebody take the next step. Like we're identifying, we have guys. Our guys are ESPN 300, All American, Under Armour, USA type guys too. So we have those type of players on our team. Now let's see the development of those players and let it transfer over to the field. And that's what I need to see. I want to see high-end recruits transfer over to talent and production and wins on the football field. And if that can happen, we'll get back to those glory days and those days that everybody's raving about.
Gotta love it, man. Development that starts with your coaching staff, which is the backbone of your college football program. And you said it best, man. The talent is there. We just need to develop the players within the program. You know, I've said this in the past. This was right after when LSU won their national title. I said, look, if Miami's not, if they're missing out on some players in South Florida, there's amazing talent there, some of the best of the best. Why not head over to Louisiana? Because LSU is not going to be taken everywhere. They just won the national title. They can't take the 3-star recruits. You know, that's probably going to be Ole Miss, Mississippi State. You know, kind of taking the rest, maybe Auburn, who knows, other SEC programs. Derron, how good is Louisiana football, the state?
Man, we play big time high level football here in Louisiana. Me being a product of it, I understand that, and I'm a guy who I'll rep for that. You know, we play high end football, and like you said, a good answer with LSU, with that being the only Power Five, champion caliber program in the state. There's a lot of talent to go around. So I understand that theory about for Miami, right? LSU can't get them all. You
Right.
can't get them all, and with all the different things we have going on now in Miami and with the recruiting and facilities and we're catching up in that aspect, you can come over here if you jump on these guys early enough and show some of these guys, that potential early enough. You can start getting them in the recruiting rankings, and these are guys who you can consider. We have a lot of talent to go around here. We have a whole bunch of talent to go around, and LSU, they'll get the ones who they want, or they'll try to get the ones who they want, and then there'll be some that they may miss. They may just miss on that guy. They didn't offer that one, but they took another one. But they may have made a mistake, so
Yeah.
one of them can go away. So we can be a school that we get that gem. We'll get that gem from here who LSU didn't think much of because they had someone else, but then that guy ended up being better than the guy that they took. And then we're the program who's reaping the benefits of that. That's always a plus. But we definitely football here. The guys here definitely are competing. We're gonna compete. At my school itself, we work every day. So we're gonna put some work in and we're gonna produce. We have a tough schedule. We play against at least 5 to 6 LSU commits this year on our football schedule. So we're gonna be playing some high level, high quality football to where almost every game or every other game, there's a kid who's probably going to LSU or considering LSU or going to Alabama or going to Ole Miss or going somewhere. So we play those type of kids weekly and we compete weekly, but that's the Louisiana football. And then with us, we're at that highest classification, so we're 5A. We're in the biggest class in the state. So with that, we'll get those bigger high profile games, those the Walker Howard, the LSU commit, guys like that. We play against them this year. That's going to be a good game for Walker as well as us. He's one of the top quarterbacks in the country. He's already committed there, and he's on our schedule. So that's a guy who we're going to prepare, we're going to work, and we're going to come out, we're going to play ball. And we'll play ball. That was just to name one. Landon, like I said, Landon Ibieta, their school, they're in 5A. So that's a team that if they were to make it to the playoff, we would play them in the playoffs if we bracketed up together. So we're going to have high quality games that, the state of Louisiana produces year in and year out. And to be able to be coaching in it now and seeing it for myself, I'm just excited for this upcoming season. And I just want, like I said, I would love for Miami to come shop around and come find more guys at East St. John or at any other surrounding schools across the whole state. We got a lot of talent to offer. Got a lot of talent to offer around.
Love it, man. Louisiana football. You give me a Tyrann Mathieu, Odell Beckham Jr., Jacob Hester. Those are some names that are legends down at LSU, and I think there'll be that caliber of player comes year in and year out in the state of Louisiana, like Derron stated, man. So there's a lot of talent in that state. They call it the boot. So hopefully Miami will, dominate and we can get some more recruits out of East St. John Bay High School where Derron coaches, man. It was a pleasure speaking with you, Derron.
I love it. Pleasure you having me. I enjoyed every minute of it. I love the Kings. I love the kids. I love coaches. So any knowledge that I can give or input or help, I love it. I love it. I get up for that every day. That's what gets me going. So just for you to have me on your show, man, I appreciate that. for you to even trust in to talk to me and let me deliver my messages. I appreciate that. I really do.
Absolutely, man. It's always a pleasure, and you're more than welcome to come on the show, whether we win or lose. If you want to do a rant or just talk great things about Canes football after a win, man, you're more than welcome to.
Look, you're more than welcome to reach out and contact me whenever too. So, like I said, feel free to pick my brain. We can talk and we'll figure all that out.
All right, appreciate it, Derron. Have a great rest of your
All
night.
right, man. Appreciate you, man. Take care.
Take care.